at the beginning of the year, we talked about Dulcich and we talked about Albert O as the starting tight ends of the Denver Broncos. Mm-hmm. What in God's name happened to Albert O? Like, even with the lack of wide receiver production on this team, we still haven't seen Albert O.
The guess is as good as mine, but I know that he's in the doghouse, and we've mentioned it, a few times. But like, he's clearly in the doghouse, and but at the same token, like, he also Dulcich is not necessarily quite near, the blocking ability, But I mean, I will say though that Dulcich is making an impact in the passing game. Not to say that Albert O could not have done, that with Albert Okwuegbunam, but it's clearly that they have way more faith right now in Greg Dulcich, in everything that he's been able to contribute on the field, than Albert Okwuegbunam. But I mean, yeah, it's definitely one of those cases where, if you have nothing to lose, why not just get him out of the doghouse and just kind of see what he has and see if he can, right the wrong, I should say. But I mean, and Pat, it made the good point in the comments that, I mean, maybe that is ultimately the difference, is that Dulcich he may not be as good of a blocker, but he's at least putting in the effort. And maybe that's the point between Albert Okwuegbunam and Dulcich is actually, putting forth the effort. Okwuegbunam, he's not choosing to do the effort.
Which is funny because they both have like the same skill set, essentially. Like, when they first came in, I was just like, you're drafting a similar player that you already have, and Albert O had shown some sort of upside, but I don't know. He just wasn't. He has had quite a few drops, and he just wasn't producing. And I think that I think the intangibles are better for Dulcich. I think a lot of the times you don't see this production in a first-year tight end, and I think they've been relying on him a lot, and that speaks volumes. So I don't think that Albert O is really. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not on the roster going forward, not in the offseason. I just don't. I think you can find other more versatile tight ends that kind of feel that need when you have your tight end one, especially when you run 12 personnel a lot like you do. But I mean, who knows what we're going to go into going into the offseason. It's so funny because you try to project into the future, but when you don't know who your coach is going to be, you're just like, meh, I don't know.
Yeah. And Peyton was asked in his last press conference, the last press availability. I can't remember what the maybe it was when Bradley Chubb got traded, and someone asked him about Albert O, and he's like, he's still an important part of the team. You are gonna see him more, as the weeks progress. Blah 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 blah. Of course, it's a healthy scratch. Do you think there was any sort of interest in giving even up a 7th round pick or something around the league for a guy like that, or were they just expecting the Broncos to cut him?
Didn't Albright put out that there wasn't any interest in Albert O? They tried to trade him and nobody wanted him.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there was a ton of interest for him. I think he's he's solid when you already have him on your team. Like, he can make some plays. He is an athletic freak and is a mismatch nightmare. If you can utilize him, cool. But the problem is whether or not he can actually execute. When he can catch the ball, he can make big plays for you. But
like Julius Thomas type plays, are you thinking? Or?
Yeah, we're going deep cut there. I agree. It's similar.
I didn't say Virgil Green.
Both, Come on now. Both, I mean, Virgil Green was actually a solid ball. Virgil Green is one of the most underrated Broncos tight ends of all time.
I've heard that.
Agree.
Ring of Honor tight end.
Ring of Honor.
But yeah, kind of like around Julius Thomas, but like not as good. You don't have Peyton Manning, so who knows? Better hands. Julius Thomas had better hands.